Greetings, this is Kevin Jefferson here with your weekly trade theory for the Dow Jones for crypto, gold, and oil. This is the Dow Jones 30. This is the daily chart, and price is pulling back off of this downward move here. Looking for price to move back up to possibly this pullback point here. When we go down to the 4-hour chart, we can see that price is starting to rise. So we have this break above this previous pullback point before moving lower, and then we have another 2 moves higher after this. So looking for price to potentially move back to the pullback point that I placed on the chart a week ago and observe price from there. So the markets may be rising today, even though this candle is red right now. Things can change at the end of the day. So we're just watching the pullbacks now and not taking any new opportunities unless you go to the lower time frames and actually find something that's worthwhile for yourself. So don't feel compelled to jump into the market just because it's starting to move, unless you find a really good setup. So definitely looking for the market to rise today and maybe reset to a point to where it could continue lower or give us a new directional indication. Going to the NASDAQ, a similar thing. Price is actually ended up pulling back off of this, starting to pull back up into an uptrend, but not completely there. It's just a kind of a reset. I guess that's the best way I could call it. So prices started to rise a little bit, but it's not completely done here. And we have this pullback point that we set previously. I'm going to go down to the 4-hour and see what it's showing here. So price is starting to stall out a little bit. What I would say is kind of decelerating a little bit. So price right here, maybe resetting, and then it could actually continue back higher again. So don't let that fool you. But it's eclipsing these smaller moves and maybe setting up for one more bigger move higher. So still would just stand aside until I got a good entry point, a good place where I could make an assessment on whether I wanted to sell into this downward movement that's been happening on the NASDAQ for the last several weeks. S&P 500, same thing here. I'm going to scroll this up a little bit. It's not quite at the take profit point. Prices pull back a bit and hasn't completely hit the pullback point. So I would observe that as well and would just wait for price to give me a better entry point, which is closer to probably the consolidation zone than where it is right now. So just watching price as it's going up the last 2 days, and it could continue higher. And I have that pullback point still on there to see how far it goes. And I still have that take profit target as well to see how far it goes if it continues lower. So at this point, we're at no particular move. I'm not looking to make any types of move on the indices today if we're not already in them. Just going to watch them because, as I mentioned many times before, I'm more of a multi-day trader. We'll take opportunities on lower time frames, but generally I'm trading the daily and higher. So that means that trade setups occur over a period of days, and then once I enter a trade, the trades are playing out over a period of days and weeks. So I'm not going to take any moves there. So all right, we're going to move to the gold trade. So I placed a couple of indicators on here over the last couple of weeks. And remember, I think last week I placed a take profit here. And the reason I set that there because you really don't have any upside history on gold getting to this point. So it's above 3,000 now, and it's moving straight up. So I would definitely wait for a pullback to try to get into there, or wait for price to give me a better entry point. But if you didn't take this trade back off of this possible long hypothesis entry area, which I shared with you last week, it blew through the take profit and is well above the 29.43, which is that area is what I mentioned as a good take profit. So if you had that as a target, you should have closed out profitably. If you haven't, and you can just keep riding this on up and expect there to be some pullbacks in price. And so price will have to go down a little bit to continue higher, but right now it's just full steam ahead. So gold is acted accordingly to what the hypothesis said should probably happen there. All right, and then we're going to go to where's the commodity. So I'm going to look for oil. This is WTI crude oil, and you can see it's gotten back to that sell area here. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Price got hit back up to the sell area and wicked it. So if I went to a lower time frame, we can kind of get a little bit more clarity. It's tracking right along at this sell area that we mentioned, and it could get up to that reset point, but it definitely is at the point to where a person who is looking to get in to sell this oil asset, they could get in now and probably take a good downside trade. Did I have a target set for that? I don't have a downside target set for this, so by this time next week, I probably will have set a target downside for WTI crude. And but right now, it's back at the possible sell entry area that I mentioned. And if you see fit on a lower time frame, maybe you want to take a sell entry or short WTI oil. All right, and then the last thing that we're going to look at is Bitcoin. And Bitcoin has continued to fall. So what we have here is we had the sell entry area here, we had the second area there, and then we set this as a possible pullback point, which price moved straight up and quite nicely too and hovered at, and it's giving us another sell opportunity here as well, with price continuing lower right now. And then we have a downside target still of about 63,000 right now for Bitcoin. So it's still moving right in accordance with what the hypothesis said should happen, and it's starting to trend down lower again. So use these items, use this information to help you with your analysis. If you whatever you're doing, whether you're an options trader, whether you trade ETFs, whether you're trading stocks, or even if you're trading currencies or what we call CFDs, contracts for difference, you can use all of these things to actually bolster your gains by understanding the knowledge of what's happening on the charts. And so I want to emphasize this last thing, and then I'll let you go. Remember that you don't have to be a currency trader, you don't have to be a stock trader, but it can help you by analyzing the technicals of the market, allow where there may be some good opportunities to dollar cost average in more, or maybe pull off on your dollar cost averaging, or wait for a better entry point, or take a counter trade. Like I said, you can buy inverse ETFs and so on and so forth, so that you can capitalize on these downward moves without actually upsetting your portfolio. So go ahead and do the research on finding solid ways to actually participate in the markets based on where you are with your knowledge and expertise. And if you need assistance, find a professional. All right, until next time, enjoy the day and happy trading.